Alright everyone, so we're going to quickly go over, the three basic CMOS gates. We're going to ignore AND, OR, and exclusive OR because, well, I'm lazy. Yeah, I'm lazy. One thing to note is the exclusive OR gate can be made a little bit differently than you would make it in other logic families, but that's not hard to look up and see, right? You can see it online and be like, oh, it makes sense in like 3 seconds. I think, at least, but whatever. Alright, so here we have our basic gates. Like I said, ignoring the other ones. So let's take a look at our not gate over here. Let's give you some information about CMOS. A MOSFET is a metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. Well, what makes it different? Well, it uses the field effect, right? The field effect. That's how it works. That's why it's a field effect transistor. It operates a little differently than your run-of-the-mill BJT, so on and so forth. So you might have noticed that we are lacking some components that we had in our other logic families. We no longer have pull-up resistors. We no longer have a base resistor. And so this actually, our PMOS, now actually acts as our pull-up. And then our NMOS is our pull-down, because it's connected to ground. Now, there is a logic family of NMOS. There's NMOS logic family, but CMOS is just infinitely better in my opinion, and the opinion of everyone else, because, well, CMOS is the most dominant logic family used, right? Everything we use nowadays is CMOS logic. It's faster, it's much less power hungry. It is more susceptible to noise compared to the other logic families, but whatever. So this actually provides our NMOS and PMOS a low impedance path from power to ground. That also doesn't saturate as heavily as the older transistor logic families. That's what makes it faster, right? There's not as much propagation delay, not as much, waiting for the stored charge to discharge, right? There's like very low capacitance in this circuit. Let's just run it, right? So you can see it switches back and forth. The reason CMOS is also used is because, NMOS and PMOS by themselves, they can represent ones and zeros, but they struggle to do so strongly, right? They can, they might not represent a 1 or a 0 strong enough for, the logic to be detected in the right way. Lots of reasons. There's so many reasons, right? I mean, it goes on and on forever. But, yeah, you can see NOT gate works. We come to our NAND gate. So this is much different than we've seen in our other logic families. We have, in the NAND, the way it's connected is you have both of your PMOS connected in parallel, and then your NMOS are connected in series. And then our NOR gate, it's the opposite, right? Our PMOS are connected in series, and our NMOS are connected in parallel. This is something you might not have learned if you read or if you read a book called Digital Fundamentals or other basic intro digital books. Even though digital electronics are very mature as a field, right? Some of the older books are still way better than the newer books. One book I recommend is Switching and Finite Automata Theory. It's by Zvi Kohavi and the other guy. Let me look at the book over here. Niraj K. Jha. I think I said that properly, but that's a good book. It teaches you how to look at logic gates, AND gates, and OR gates as parallel and series, right? So your AND gate would be series, and your OR gate would be parallel. Anyway, that's some yeah. But if we take a look at our NAND gate, it works exactly as we expect it to, right? Both high input gives us a low output, and then our NOR gate, if we play with this over here, we can see that, well, anything that's not 0, 0 equals 0 output, right? And that's basically CMOS. I mean, it's so in depth. I can never cover all of it. I also don't know everything about it. I do know the other logic families are a little better than CMOS. Kind of surprising considering that CMOS is the most dominant logic family. But my professors were old and they liked the old school stuff. So, I mean, I guess I learned a lot more about the older stuff than the newer stuff. But that doesn't matter, right? It's all still the same once you actually get used to, looking at it. But yeah, that's basically your CMOS logic. This is how your primitive gates work. And remember, the primitive gates are all you need to make every type of logic that you wanted to. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And so next time we convene, I suppose I'll show you the thing we've been building towards this whole time. I'll finally stop making videos in between to delay it. We'll actually start talking about the really cool stuff.